All right, today we have Dee from More Than Mortgages to talk about a few things mortgage related. Hey Dee.
Hey.
So now, with interest rates going up pretty much month by month, is now a good time to buy a property?
I think that often what people think when interest rates are going up is to have a bit of panic, worry. But I also know that as interest rates go up, people's borrowing capacities will come down, which in turn you would think that property prices will come down, which then would say to me, if property prices are coming down, then yeah, it's a good time to buy.
Yeah, and we're noticing that property prices are coming down, and so obviously in the current market it is a little bit fearful for buyers, but they can rest assured that they're sort of buying in a good market nevertheless.
Oh, and Canberra's, anywhere in Australia is the most, I think, protected, robust little economy of property. So you can't really go too wrong in Canberra.
Sure, and so obviously right now, should I fix or go for a variable rate? Because it's all over the shop.
Let me just get my crystal ball. 2 seconds. No, but I've been answering this question a lot for people. I personally am staying with variable. I have been looking at, there's a few sources or people that I know in the industry that have lots of property that have been around for 20, 30 years, and they've seen, their advice to me is that rates will probably hit around the 5%-ish for owner-occupied rates, and then potentially drop back down into the 4s, and we'll settle around there. So I've been around for 12 years. Anything in the 4s to me is not the end of the world. That's actually still really good historically. I owned a property and rates were at about 12%. So in the 4s, I'm just reminding people that if they've already got loans, that they were assessed at a rate 2.5% to 3% higher. So there should be some wiggle room in there for them, and also just preparing people instead of fixing. So the answer to that is I would just stay variable for the time being. Maybe ask me again in a couple months. We'll see what's happening. But I think that so fixed rates at the moment are around 5% to 6%. Variable rates are about 4%. So, and that's inclusive of the recent interest rate rise 2 days ago, yesterday.
September.
I think, and this is what I've been telling people, instead of actually paying 5.5% as an interest rate, I'll work out what that repayment would be and start making that repayment from now. And that'll do 3 things. You'll build up redraw in your loan. So that's like a forced savings, basically. So if anything, if rates did go a bit higher, or if you need that money for anything, you can actually redraw it back out if you wanted to. You'll be paying off the loan faster. The more that you can pay off in additional repayments at the beginning of the loan can literally knock years off the loan at the end. So that's really cool. And also, as rates do creep up, you're not going to notice because your repayment's been higher anyway. So that's what I'm telling people to do instead of fixing. I do think though, if someone's super risk averse and it's going to keep them up all night, stressing out that rates are going to go up, if you're that type of a person, it may still be okay to fix. I've always said, fix because you want peace of mind, not because you're trying to get the cheapest rate. It's always been my motto. It just so happened the last couple of years that fixed rates have been super cheap. So yeah, that's what I think.
And so I've also found now that obviously with such significant price growth in Canberra property prices over the last sort of 3 or 4 years, that people now have a lot of equity in their property. And so, did we come and see you to refinance, to pull that equity out to buy an investment property, and is now a good time?
So if you want to pull equity out of a property, and not all people know what that means, it simply means get another loan, secure it to, say, your home, and you're using the equity in your home to secure that loan. Then you take that loan and you use that as deposits and costs like stamp duty to buy the investment property. So that is what releasing equity is. Great time to do it now, because there are some lenders, not all banks will give you the money without any questions asked. They typically want a reason. Why are we taking this equity out? If you tell them it's for an investment property, they want to make sure that you can service all those loan repayments, and they'll want to know the ins and outs of what you're doing with the money. There are a couple banks though that, as long as you can evidence your serviceability and you've got enough equity in the property, they'll pretty much give it to you without too many headaches. You can set it up as an interest-only loan, so it kind of works like a credit card. So if you're unsure if you really want to use that equity right now, assuming property prices will come down a little bit, it's a good time to kind of get in now to get that equity. You can set it up as an interest-only loan and it works like a credit card, which means you literally don't have to make a single repayment on it at all until such time that you use the money.
And so then if you see the right investment property, you've got everything ready to go, you can make an offer and exchange.
You've got money to pay a deposit. Yeah. Probably you'll still want to get a pre-approval for the actual investment property.
Yeah.
But at least then you've got that money there. And that'll sit there for up to 5 years.
Right, so that line of credit's not bad to have as a lifeline anyway.
Yeah. And that's, I think too, if families are planning on, we're going to have a kid and wife's going to go on mat leave and we're going to take a year or two off work, and you just would like a bit more of a buffer of cash, or you're going to need some money to supplement your lifestyle, or we've had people release equity for private school fees, buy a caravan, wedding, whatever. You can have that money sitting there. Don't make a repayment on it until you actually want to use the money.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
And so if I wanted to get that started, what's the next step?
Book in to see me, and I can work it out from there.
Yeah, to take care of the whole thing.
Basically, yeah. We get the property valued, which we first of all determine serviceability. So do you have enough income to service the loan repayments? The issue with rates going up is that people's serviceability, aka their borrowing capacity, is coming down. So that's the first thing we do, is just double check to see what your borrowing capacity is like. If that's good, we then order a valuation and make sure that there's enough equity in the property to do what you want to do. And it's important to note that you can't borrow up to 100% equity. So if you've got $1 million property with 800,000 owing on it already, you're probably maxed out. You usually need to leave about 20% equity in the property, or you're paying mortgage insurance. But if you've got $1 million property with a $500,000 loan, then there's 300 of available equity in that property. So yeah, determine serviceability, order valuation, and pretty much go from there.
Okay, great. All right, so where do you see property prices heading in Canberra in the next, say, 12 months?
I think property will go correct a little bit. I think it'll go backwards a little bit, but nothing that people need to freak out about. Yeah. And I do think when that happens, that buyer sentiment will return a bit more. I think, it's been a bit weird the last 5 months with rates going up so sharply. I think that has kind of
spooked the market.
Spooked a bit, yeah. I'm still seeing heaps. It's funny, I've just spoken to 2 people recently that are almost excited that rates are going up because they know property prices are going to come down. Yeah. So the whole rate rise thing, instead of being spooked, you can look at it as a bit of an opportunity.
So when we're dealing with buyers in the marketplace, they have pre-approval when they're shopping for homes. But with every rate rise, do they need to come back and see you to make sure their pre-approval still exists?
Good question. So what a lot of people don't realise at the moment is that I'd say 50% of banks are not honouring the pre-approved loan amount. We found this out the hard way. I don't think that lenders have done this in nearly a decade. I think it's only happened once before in my 12-year career. Usually you get pre-approved, and for that 3-month window, if anything changes, it's fine. They'll still honour whatever it was you were pre-approved for. Now, 50% of banks are saying, no, every time the Reserve Bank increases rate, we need to basically decrease your loan. I literally had one bank relationship manager say, rip the pre-approval up and come back to us and start again. That's not a very robust pre-approval. So if someone wants a pre-approval, I'm excluding all of those, unless their serviceability is really strong and they can handle rate rises. But most people, I'm saying, look, we're going to have to go to this pool of lenders because they've committed that once you're pre-approved, it's locked in for that 3-month window, so you don't have to worry every time rates go up. I would say there's a lot of people out there. I mean, we found this out the hard way. I think, there's probably a lot of people that have a pre-approval that will go to auction, and when they go back to their bank after they've gone to auction and locked in the property, they're going to find out the hard way that their pre-approval is no longer valid. Their loan amount's going to be lower. So that's really important.
Well, guys, if you need any help with your mortgage, Dee is definitely the lady to speak to, and her contact details are below.